when I watch the Olympics, I want every team that walks out under their flag to think their country is the best country. Like I get emotional watching guys from countries I've never heard of stand under their flag and weep as their national anthem is being played. I'm like, that is so. I feel the same way about that as I feel about all the men in my church thinking their wife is the hottest wife on the planet.
That's great.
It's weird. I mean, yeah, there just lacks sophistication in this conversation. Josh knows I get frustrated quickly because I'm like, are we even having this conversation? This is crazy. But it's like Jesus told a man that unless he hates his father and mother in comparison to his allegiance to Christ, he's not being faithful. He also says, be willing to lay down your life and sacrifice it for your wife or you're a deadbeat husband.
That's great.
So we have to be able to walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. We have to be able to have a kind of love for our family or our fellow citizens or our nation that would lead us to lay down our life and value protecting them over preserving our own life. And we can do that while we have a higher allegiance to Jesus.
That's
and
great.
so this idea where we conflate patriotism or nationalism with idolatry and worshiping, I mean, I guess it could happen in one sense, and we want to preach against that. I just don't see that being the dominant problem in the church today. And if it became the dominant problem, we'd preach to it. You know what I mean? Yeah. You can't be saved if you're an American. You must be a son of God. We all say that every Sunday. But to say that's like what we're struggling with right now as a nation, I think it's just to miss the point. And underneath it, I think is a seething hatred for our nation. And that needs to be repented of because we honestly live in a remarkable nation that's giving the people who are making these claims kinds of freedoms that the world historically has rarely, if ever, known. Right. And so where's the gratitude? Where's the thankfulness to God? Where's the desire to stand on the shoulders of, quite frankly, better men and women who've gone before us, who were more sophisticated, more thoughtful, more reflective, more biblical in their worldview, and then worked with their very blood, sweat, and tears to build something that we now have inherited and are benefiting from. And then our response is to gripe and, I won't say the other word, and complain. It's a mind-boggling response to me. It should be worshipful gratefulness, thankfulness, and then a willingness to spend whatever days God gives us making it better. And right now, that includes clarifying misunderstandings, combating lies with truth, and digging our heels in to keep the woke crazies from pulling our nation off the cliff into full-scale progressive secularism. That will destroy it. In one sense, Josh, I'll say this. It's not only a misunderstanding of the Bible or history, it's a fundamental misunderstanding of the West itself.
There you go.
And so, nothing to add there.
Russ, and then I'm going to move us.
If there is one issue that we face in the church as it pertains to this conversation, it is not that people love their country too much. It's that people don't love it enough.
That's right.
When you love the country that you're in, you are advocating for its best possible life, its best possible outcomes, its best possible legislation, its best possible governance. If anything, if there's any issue that we face in the church, it's that people have shifted into neutral and taken themselves out of the conversation, and they've kind of adopted this like, c'est la vie, it is what it is, agnosticism as it pertains to the destiny of a nation.
Exile in Babylon.
Exactly. Like, we shouldn't even care about these things. You shouldn't pledge allegiance. You shouldn't vote. You shouldn't be in the military. You shouldn't be a police officer because, to be involved in any type of national conversation or interest in the development of your nation, be warned. You're going to fall into the trap of idolatry. No, when you love your nation, you advocate for its best possible outcomes. And the way that we do that as believers is by advocating for the moral law that informs the civic law. This nation has its best possible outcomes by advocating for righteous things.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, let me say something real quick, and then I'm going to go to Ryan and then move us on. So to what Russ is saying, this is one of my favorite C.S. Lewis essays. C.S. Lewis says that what Satan does in every era is he convinces Christians to be focused on, quote, the fashionable problems of the day. And then he says what that does is it gets them solving for the opposite problem that they're actually facing. He uses the analogy of Satan's going to convince you to look over here, so that you end up, and this is his analogy, Christians end up bringing a fire extinguisher to a flood. So his analogy, let's apply it to this thing, is that Christians get really focused on, let's make sure we don't love our nation too much, love our nation too much, love our nation too much. When right now, evangelical Christians are some of the least politically and culturally active people in the United States. Every election,
That's horrible.
40 to 50 million evangelical Christians sit out the elections. That is atheist, Buddhist, is Muslim, literally every other religious group in America is more active politically and culturally than evangelical Christians. But then evangelical Christians are the ones that are like, hey, let's make sure we don't have an idol out of our nation. And what we're doing is the enemy is tricking us into bringing a fire extinguisher to a flood, and we're solving the exact opposite net problem we're actually facing. Ryan.
Very simple concept that everyone needs to understand this conversation is what Augustine talked about in regard to rightly ordered loves. Okay, Augustine was not an American Christian. He was an early church father. And rightly ordered loves means you need to love the right things in the right order. So for all Christians, it would be God first, then if you're married, your spouse, then your own kids, then maybe your church, your nation, other people in your community. You get down to like your favorite football team, so that's the order. Nobody says that by wearing your favorite football team's jersey that you're committing idolatry and undermining your love for the Lord, who's in number one position, right? Additionally, no one has to downplay their love for, let's say their kids in order to prove their love for the Lord being number one. And that's what a lot of Christians do in these conversations. Like this, they think like, I got to downplay America, bash on America. I've got to talk like, America's not a big deal. I've got to point out everything it's ever done wrong in order to somehow virtue signal that I put God in number one position. I'm not an idolater. And that's you're not functioning with the proper framework. It's rightly ordered loves. Love the right things in the right order.
To Ryan's point, what we're saying is Christian nationalism. We're saying here's what this is. It is Christians wanting and advocating for our nation to be guided by Christian principles. And in our nation, we want religious freedom. That's wonderful. That's actually a Christian idea. But we want the true one promoted. Protect religious liberty, wonderful. But we want the true one promoted.
Don't stop here. Go watch the full message by hitting the video right here. And if you're looking for free resources and tools to strengthen your marriage, manhood, leading your family, and growing as a stronger man, head over to strongermannation.com. We've got resources and podcasts that dive deep into real life issues, fatherhood, marriage, and intimacy, and how to live clear-eyed in a confused culture.